£190 million, that's the staggering amount Pep Guardiola is reportedly ready to invest in just two players. Is it a desperate gamble or a masterstroke in the making? At the same time, Marcus Rashford appears set for a return to England, while Galatasaray are closing in on a blockbuster move, preparing to sign a Manchester United star for around €60 million. Meanwhile, Liverpool FC have already identified a new centre-back target. It's another day of transfer chaos, so if you're enjoying the ride, aim for 300 likes and stay tuned for more updates tomorrow. The most fascinating transfer stories rarely begin with official announcements. Right now, one of the most intriguing names quietly circulating behind the scenes is Alphonso Davies. Reports suggest that his agents are actively approaching Premier League clubs, signaling that a potential move away from Bayern Munich is very much on the table. It's a curious situation. Davies is settled in Munich and committed to the project, yet his name continues to surface in English transfer discussions. At 25, fully recovered from his ACL injury and back to his explosive best, it's no surprise that top clubs are paying close attention again. Two clubs, in particular, have emerged as frontrunners, and the reasoning behind their interest is clear. For Liverpool, this is about long-term planning. Andy Robertson has been a defining figure at left-back, but no era lasts forever. Replacing him is no easy task, yet Davies offers an almost ready-made solution. Over at Old Trafford, the situation is more complicated. Luke Shaw remains first choice on paper, but persistent fitness issues have made reliability a concern. Davies wouldn't just provide cover, he would transform the dynamic of the squad, potentially even allowing Patrick Dorgu to operate further forward. The question, though, is whether Davies would truly solve United's deeper issues. His strengths are undeniable: blistering pace, rapid defensive recovery, and a dangerous attacking presence in transition. But there's a familiar concern surrounding United's transfer strategy, spending heavily on individual positions while overlooking broader structural problems. It's a pattern that has proven difficult to break. As for Bayern, they're under no pressure to sell. Davies is contracted until 2030, giving the club complete control over the situation. However, Bayern are also pragmatic. If a significant offer arrives from the Premier League, their stance could shift quickly. English clubs have never hesitated to spend big on players capable of transforming a team's tempo, and if Liverpool or United push hard enough, a move could become inevitable. While much of the spotlight around Manchester City has focused on their 115 financial charges, the more pressing concern may lie on the pitch. Guardiola's meticulously built system could soon lose one of its most vital components. According to reports, Bernardo Silva has informed the club of his intention to leave this summer, with his contract winding down and no renewal in sight. Silva has enjoyed his time in Manchester, but he's now seeking a new challenge. His representatives are exploring multiple options, searching for a club that can offer both competitive football and a salary that reflects his status. It's a difficult balance to strike. The Saudi Pro League remains a possibility, while interest in Major League Soccer, particularly from Los Angeles, has been noted. If he wants to remain at the highest level, clubs like Juventus FC, Napoli, Atletico Madrid, and even FC Barcelona are already monitoring the situation. Barcelona's interest, given their financial constraints, adds a familiar layer of intrigue. Perhaps Joan Laporta has discovered a few new, economic levers. But this isn't just about losing a technically gifted midfielder. Silva is a cornerstone of Guardiola's system, the brain on the pitch and a leader in the dressing room. His departure alone would be a major blow, but if Rodri were to leave in the same window, as some rumors suggest, it could signal the beginning of the end for one of the most dominant eras in English football. And the story doesn't end there. Manchester City's hierarchy is already preparing for a major midfield rebuild, with plans to invest that massive £190 million into reshaping the core of the team. Whether it proves to be a bold reinvention or the start of a decline, that's the question that will define their next chapter. Pep Guardiola can see the problem unfolding in real time. The machine he built to perfection is beginning to lose its rhythm, and the cracks are becoming harder to ignore with each passing week. Bernardo Silva already looks set for the exit, while Rodri is now seriously considering a move to Real Madrid. Contract talks between City and Rodri have stalled completely, turning into a waiting game where neither side is willing to blink first. As time drags on, the likelihood of a split grows stronger. Interestingly, Rodri doesn't seem too concerned about his Atletico Madrid roots, because when the Santiago Bernabéu comes calling and the chance to become the central figure at one of the world's biggest clubs is on offer, sentiment tends to fade quickly. Behind the scenes, Hugo Viana has been handed the responsibility of fixing these looming gaps, and he's not thinking small. Reports suggest that City are preparing an aggressive double move for Sandro Tonali and Elliot Anderson from Newcastle United and Nottingham Forest, with the total package reaching an eye-watering £190 million. Anderson alone could cost around £90 million, but City are not alone in the race. Manchester United are also circling, viewing him as a cornerstone for their own midfield rebuild. The player himself is not staying quiet either, reportedly seeking assurances that Guardiola will remain in charge. While Pep insists he's committed until 2027, football has a way of turning promises into distant memories when results begin to slide. City's January business already hinted at their aggressive approach, bringing in players like Antoine Semenyo and Marc Guéhi. Financial incentives tend to smooth over any hesitation, and both deals reinforce the club's intent to stay ahead of the curve. But the Tonali situation is where things become particularly interesting. Valued at around £100 million, the Italian midfielder is effectively priced out of a return to Serie A, leaving City with a relatively clear path. There are even whispers of a gentleman's agreement with Newcastle, suggesting the club might allow him to leave if they fail to secure Champions League football. Agreements like that rarely hold firm in modern football, but if there's even a hint of truth, City will waste no time exploiting it. They're not stopping there either. Tino Livramento is also firmly on their radar, pointing toward a potential shopping spree at St. James Park. The challenge now for Viana is timing, because once rival clubs enter the race, transfer fees can spiral out of control. Replacing a player like Rodri is close to impossible in pure footballing terms, but with City's financial strength, the strategy is clear: if you can't replicate the player, you attempt to rebuild the system around new pieces. Meanwhile, Liverpool FC appear to have reached a long overdue conclusion. Their defense can keep relying on short-term fixes, and the club is now ready to invest heavily in a commanding presence at the back. Their primary target is Mario, the 23-year-old centre-back currently at Nottingham Forest. Signed from Corinthians in 2023 for a modest fee, his value has skyrocketed to around £80 million. It's a steep price, but Liverpool's scouting team has done extensive work on him, and the club is seriously considering making the move. The hype isn't without reason. Mario has clearly outgrown his current surroundings. He's aggressive in tackles, dominant in the air, composed under pressure, and confident carrying the ball forward, exactly the profile of a modern centre-back. His performances have already caught the attention of Brazil national football team selectors ahead of the next World Cup. He's not just someone who clears danger, he actively shifts the tempo of the game from the back. Unsurprisingly, Liverpool are not alone in the chase. Several European heavyweights are monitoring the situation closely. Manchester United made an initial approach before stepping back, while Arsenal FC remain firmly interested, with Mikel Arteta known to favor defenders capable of breaking lines with progressive passing. Nottingham Forest, meanwhile, are trying to project calm. Earlier this year, they tied Mario down to a contract running until 2029, a move that strengthens their negotiating position on paper, even if the growing interest suggests this story is far from over. Manchester United have made their stance crystal clear: there will be no compromise. They are not interested in extending loans or entertaining half measures. It's a permanent transfer or nothing. That firm position has created a tense financial standoff with FC Barcelona, and in the middle of that tug-of-war, Aston Villa see an opportunity opening up. The obvious question, though, is why Marcus Rashford would even consider returning to England. His long chapter at Old Trafford appears to be firmly closed, and reports suggest he has grown tired of the relentless scrutiny from the British media. A move abroad offers distance from that pressure, but this is where Unai Emery enters the picture. Emery has built a reputation for reviving players whose careers have stalled, reshaping them into key figures within his system. There is a strong belief that he could convince Rashford to buy into Villa's project, offering both structure and a clear role tailored to his strengths. From a strategic standpoint, Villa's approach shows a new level of composure. They are no longer reacting impulsively in the market. Instead, they are running parallel plans, pursuing Jadon Sancho while keeping Rashford as a high-impact alternative. If Barcelona continue to negotiate aggressively and United refuse to lower their demands, Villa can step in at precisely the right moment. The contrast between the two targets is striking. Sancho brings technical finesse and creativity, while Rashford offers explosive pace, direct attacking threat, and perhaps most importantly, a point to prove. Either way, Villa are positioning themselves to secure exactly what they need. Back at Old Trafford, Bruno Fernandes continues to carry the creative burden for United, even as speculation begins to swirl around his future. Surprisingly, the latest rumors don't link him to Europe's traditional giants, but rather to Galatasaray, who are reportedly preparing a €60 million offer. The logic isn't hard to follow. Galatasaray are aiming to establish themselves as consistent contenders in the UEFA Champions League, and signing a player of Bruno's quality would significantly elevate their attacking output. In Turkey, the tempo of the game would suit him differently. The pressing is less relentless, the physical demand slightly reduced, and that would give Bruno more time and space to dictate play. He could spend matches orchestrating attacks, picking out passes, and controlling the rhythm without being constantly harried. Still, the timing raises serious doubts. At 31, Bruno remains in peak condition, delivering strong numbers and still operating at the highest level. A move driven purely by financial incentives, whether to Turkey or even further afield, feels premature. If he were genuinely available this summer, elite clubs competing for major trophies would almost certainly enter the race, because players with his creativity and leadership rarely stay on the market for long. From United's perspective, the idea of selling him now borders on unthinkable. He isn't just another midfielder, he's the core of their attacking structure, the player through whom everything flows. Removing him would mean dismantling the team's creative engine overnight. That's why reports suggest the club are firmly rejecting any approach. In fact, they would rather risk losing him on a free transfer in the future than weaken the squad in the present. Crucially, Bruno himself appears content at Old Trafford, which further strengthens United's position. Replacing